Well, you can't say she didn't get the left's attention. Actress Sydney Sweeney's ads for American Eagle jeans are making them crazy. Now liberals are accusing the campaign of whiteness worship and pushing eugenics. And her voter registration has now been revealed. BuzzFeed writes, after the whole American Eagle backlash, it's emerged that Sydney Sweeney is indeed a Republican. President Trump likes it.
She's a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if people don't know how he won, he said, yeah, you'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. He knows. Madeline Rivera is with me now. Madeline.
Hey, Harris, this ad just keeps fueling more chatter online. President Trump is bringing this up again this morning on Truth Social, saying in part Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Go get him, Sydney. The backlash against Sweeney has been swift ever since American Eagle released this ad campaign. It features blonde, blue-eyed Sweeney modeling jeans. It's the message, though, that's got people talking. The tagline is, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. One teaser video shows Sweeney talking about genes as in DNA being passed down from parents. Some people have taken the play on words as a hint at eugenics. Others, though, say folks are reading into this way too much. Senator Ted Cruz is slamming the left, saying they've come out against beautiful women, adding, I'm sure that will poll well. Vice President J.D. Vance indicates this is not the hill for the Democrats to die on, though we should note we've not seen prominent Dems react to this ad.
It actually reveals something pretty interesting about the Dems, though, which is that you have like a normal all-American beautiful girl doing like a normal jeans ad, right? They're trying to sell jeans to kids in America, and they have managed to so unhinge themselves over this thing. And it's like, you guys, did you learn nothing from the November 2024 election?
Regardless, American Eagle is sticking to its ad. Their statement last week says in part, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, is and always was about the genes, her story. Sweeney has yet to publicly respond to the controversy. Harris, back to you.
Madeline, thank you. In focus now, Laura Trump, host of My View. And, you know, Laura, this is so confusing to me because, first of all, liberals couldn't define a woman, but they want to tell people which women they cannot like.
The whole thing is crazy. Harris, imagine this is about blue jeans.
Yep.
This is how unhinged and crazy people on the left have become. And I got to say something. Kudos to American Eagle. Do you know this must be the best return on investment for any ad in the history of American Eagle? They have made a resurgence because of this. I think their stock price is up like over 10%. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars because of this ad. But I want to say I agree with what J.D. Vance said there. They didn't learn a single thing on the left during the 2024 election. They're focused on things that don't matter to people, like DEI and identity politics, and not on things like making people's lives better, coming up with great solutions to heal the country, to close the border, to stop the wars around the world. That's what people care about. When you focus so intently on this, I mean, you lose a lot of the country. And then if you thought the meltdown was bad, Harris, the cherry on top, I'm sure, for the Democrats is that Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican. President Trump likes it. We all love it. So I'm again going to say congratulations to American Eagle. You guys nailed this.
Wow. I mean, if only Bud Light had known. But they didn't. They could have avoided that whole thing. Well, look, you know, you're talking now just as the vice president has, and kind of segueing into what they didn't learn. Democrats are now gearing up for a 2028 showdown. Or maybe at 2028 something else. I don't know. Maybe they'll fall apart. One of my guests just said Democrat Julian Epstein said his party might not even exist by then. Big names like former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Governors Andy Beshear and Gretchen Whitmer are already making moves. But with no clear frontrunner, the path to picking a new leader is dicey and uncertain. The Daily Caller puts it this way. Dems keep expressing boundless confidence about midterms despite historic unpopularity. USA Today writes, with their brand in the toilet, Democrats commence shadow 2028 primary for president. CNN data guru Harry Inton.
Democrats at this point are historically divided. It is a complete and utter mess. It is messier than a hoarder's basement. If you're a Democrat potentially thinking about running in 2028, jump right in, because at this point, there is no front runner. One of the reasons why there is no front runner, nobody wants to put anybody up at the top of their ballot list, is because at this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public.
Wow, messier than a hoarder's basement. Great line. Now, a new poll reveals many Democrats see their party as weak or ineffective. This is perhaps their biggest problem. Because the way, Laura, and you and I have talked about this before, the way that they think the answer back is to scream and cuss and do all of these things and promise free stuff that nobody can pay for. They need to pay attention that people still don't feel heard.
Yeah, their approval rating right now is the lowest, Harris, it has been in 30 years, the Democrat Party. It's around 33%. And again, to go back to what we just talked about, they're just not talking to the American people about anything they care about. You know, the people you just put up there, Pete Buttigieg, what does he have to point to that he has done, you know, during his tenure as transportation secretary, during his tenure as mayor, you know, that anybody in America is going to get behind? They don't have a leader. They don't have a message. They don't have a platform. They're floundering around. Look at who has emerged in New York City. A socialist, Zohran Mamdani, seems to be the face of the Democrat Party right now. And so as they're heading into 2028, I'll tell you who it's going to be, who the Democrats should get behind. Not that I want to give them any advice. You need an authentic candidate, and you need someone who is going to energize and excite people. Right now, Harris, none of those people exist. I mean, I kind of, in the back of my mind, feel like Hillary Clinton might be getting the taste back in her mouth. Maybe she should take another stab at it, maybe make another go of it, because I got to tell you, if there's ever a time where I agree with Etten there, that anybody could kind of jump in this mix and have a shot, it might be right now.
Wow, that is really dismal. And you know what? I don't know about you, but in public, people will come up to me and they'll ask me, you know, why does anybody want to help the Democrats? Why do you guys keep talking about it? This is a political moment for both parties. Look at what's happening in state houses in California and Texas. I mean, this is the battle, you know, the preamble to 2028. It's not literally that far away. So I get this sort of dissection, but here's the rub. We actually are dissecting based on the facts. I don't know what the liberals are looking at.
Well, they're not looking at anything that the American people care about. And look, the reality is this country was founded on the ability to talk to one another and to have a marketplace of ideas. And it would be nice if the opposing party had a little bit of common sense, had a couple of people in it who made sense. Right now, it seems like they've got John Fetterman, who has emerged as maybe the most level-headed of the Democrats. They might want to take a couple of notes from this guy, because he gives credit where credit is due to President Trump, and he sides with President Trump whenever, you know, he believes that it makes sense. Most of them can't do that. But, you know, it's a very unique time. I think we all would like to see the left come a little bit more center so that we have a reasonable, you know, opponent on the other side.
Well, and it gives Americans, you know, not everybody thinks the same. But it would be nice if everybody had an opportunity to at least talk and debate the issues and not, you know, the Democrats who fled Texas because they couldn't get their way in the state house. Like, it's a lot of drama out there, and no one is focused in, as you put it, on the things that matter most to the people who vote. It's always great to spend time with you, Laura Trump. Thank you. We'll catch you on Saturday nights on The View.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.